So, some of you who've been around my channel for a while have probably watched my two videos that I did on the topic of Marvel's The Punisher. I did one specifically addressing the question of whether or not the Punisher would be on the side of Black Lives Matter and Antifa or the police. And then I did another one specifically addressing just some guy's horrible take on the Punisher. I will leave those in the description of this video, so that you can check them out and put them in the cards at the end. But now it seems like we have to have this debate again, and it also gives me an opportunity to address something very specific when it comes to the bad tactics that are usually used by the far left, but not always, that people use to try to obscure that they have lost an argument. In this often taken out of context clip from a comic book, you see the Punisher interrogating a police officer. He also does not kill this police officer, but he's trying to shake him down for information about a corrupt police officer that was trying to get the Punisher killed. So they will take a clip like this and they'll make statements that supposedly the Punisher kills cops all the time. In this same conversation, they made other ridiculous statements like that the Punisher kills cops left and right, or that actually one even just stated that he kills entire precincts on a regular basis. The problem is, if this was even close to true, the rest of the Marvel Universe would come down on him. Spider-Man, the Avengers, Iron Man, etc. They would never just let somebody just slaughter entire precincts of cops. The problem is that doesn't fit their fantasy. They really want this to be a world where the cops are the bad guys and that somehow the heroes is anyone who opposes them. Here we have an idiot claiming that the Punisher hates the cops and that is why he is the best. So of course I had to expose him to a dose of reality in the form of another clip from the comic book stating that Punisher does not fight the cops. In fact, he will turn himself in or give himself up before he will attack cops. It was very easy to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were absolutely wrong. And it's a very common tactic of the left to just simply start clicking laugh reacts if they know they don't have an argument. The benefit of this is that they can just act like somehow what you were saying was so preposterous that they don't even have to bother to argue with you. It's a very convenient way out of actually having to provide an argument. And they do this in mass to try to make it look like what you're saying is, once again, just ridiculous and preposterous. You can always tell when it's happening because it'll look something like this in your Facebook notifications. When you see that your Facebook notifications are lit up with laugh reacts by people who very obviously did not even take the time to read the entire thread, because it's physically impossible, you know that this is what's going on. It's essentially just trying to create a circumstance where you're speaking publicly and then a huge mob is laughing at you. There are apparently entire Facebook groups devoted to this phenomenon, literally just like a gang of people that you can call upon to laugh react at somebody's post when you're getting your ass whooped in a debate. In this instance, we were talking about something as trivial as a comic book, but I provided them with real evidence that they are obviously demonstrably wrong. And there are plenty of more examples of this evidence all over the comic book's run. When I was reading The Punisher, it was during the time period of my life when I lived in the ghetto, where my neighbor's house was literally taken over by a crack dealer. And I remember distinctly the SWAT team showing up and having to clear them out. I got to watch flashbangs go off and light up their entire house, etc. And I remember thinking the entire time I was reading The Punisher, that I wish somebody would show up and just deal with the criminals that were in my neighborhood. The Punisher comic book specifically was essentially about a guy who was concerned about the justice system's inability to effectively deal with criminals. And right now, the left is trying to suggest, well, yeah, he just really opposed cops. He hated cops. And he hated the state. Like, somehow they think he was an anarchist or something. The thing is that when it comes to people like Jacob Blake, someone that the left martyrized as, like, somehow a victim of society, and they in fact just invented a false narrative that had no basis in reality about what took place in Kenosha. He was the criminal who got shot 8 times in the back. They always leave out the context, which, as you have, those of you who have been on my channel for a while are aware of the context because I made multiple videos about it. But let's just break it down again for the sake of argument. If Frank Castle, the Punisher, showed up at a house, and a man who had an active warrant for a woman's rape was present, and that man was violating the restraining order that the victim had against him, that man was trying to leave in a car that did not belong to him, with her kids in it, this is what would have been different. Jacob Blake would not have been shot 8 times in the back. He would have been shot once in the head. As I mentioned before, I've done 2 videos on the topic of the Punisher, specifically because of this issue. You can check them out on my channel. But the thing that I really want to discuss is what the psychology of the situation is that, again, they want the universe to work according to their ideas of how things are. And in their minds, cops just randomly shoot people all the time, and that criminals are nowhere near as dangerous as police for some reason. These are all things that are just irrational and obviously to show either an incredible naivete when it comes to the nature of crime or just being outright criminals themselves. And it's more important that we get back to the main point here, which is that the whole point of this is, again, to try to mock you or to make it out that what you're suggesting is completely ridiculous. And they will give this reaction no matter what you say, no matter how much evidence you provide, no matter what you put together. Because at the end of the day, they don't really care about the facts. They care about their feelings. And this is something that the Soviet defector Yuri Bezmenov was trying to explain when he was explaining ideological subversion.
Exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information.
So that's why in the future, when you get hit with laugh react spam, or maybe just somebody who throws like 6 or 7 laugh emojis into their post so that they can make it look like there's 7 people laughing at you, just remember that instead of translating it in your mind to the way they want, which would be that there's a group of people laughing at you and that therefore you should rethink what you're thinking, you should instead just consider it for what it really is: the nervous laughter of someone who knows they are wrong. Please like and subscribe and ring the bell if you enjoyed this video. You can check out hy.page/vradio if you want to learn more about where to find me on Rumble, BitChute, etc. I'm going to be making more content today, including another short video, and I'm going to be doing a stream where we're going to watch a congressional hearing about the issue of transgender affirming care. Hope you'll join me. Thanks.